Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here as always. Today we've got an NFT focused show. So we've got Brett Malinowski on the show. We actually met, I think, on Kyle's channel, Kyle Chassis's channel, on one of the live
Yeah,
streams.
he's bridged a lot of people together in the space. I think what he does is pretty great. But dude, excited to be here. I appreciate you having me on. Share some knowledge.
Yeah, I'm really excited. This has been a long time coming. We talked about this a while ago. Really quickly, before we dive into the NFT stuff, could you give folks a little bit of your background and how you got in this space?
Yeah, so I've been into crypto since like 2013. I think I bought my first Bitcoin at 300. Granted, I was like a high school kid, so I didn't have a ton of money.
Yeah.
So I'm not one of those early days Bitcoin millionaires that you hear about so much. But 2017, when things popped back up, I still had the account and I was able to get in pretty good in college and did really well in 2017. But as the true Maxian believer I am, I held all the way through the bear market.
Yeah.
So fell off. I mean, as I think most people did, they lost interest when the price wasn't going up. It wasn't in the news much. Obviously, I kept up to date, still believed in technology, but and like added to my investment here and there. But for the most part, when things came up, like got ramped back up, it was like, okay, this is like for real, like mass adoption seems to be on the cusp here. So I went even heavier in, and then the start of this year, NFTs started to blow up, especially after that big like March crash we saw at the what is it, 2021? Time is irrelevant to me at
2020,
this point, but early
2021, it's all the
2021,
same.
yeah, early this year. Yeah, and so I just got really into NFTs because I had seen the crypto kitties and the crypto punks in 2017, and like I understood what non-fungible tokens were, but what we've seen these last like 6 months has been unbelievable. Like this is a straight up mania phase in the NFT market right now, these profile picture projects. But I dove headfirst, got into a lot of the like big projects really early, and since then I just committed. Like the last 7 months I left my previous work situation and have gone full-time NFTs.
That's rad, man. That's rad. I mean, I always respect people who dive headfirst into something, especially when it's not like a sure thing and just really passionate about it. That's the best.
It seems logical to me, like just verifiable digital ownership. Like
Yeah.
it just makes sense. I don't know if that's because I just played video games growing up, like Counter-Strike, where you had like digital in-game items that would cost thousands of dollars
Yeah.
just to make your guns look cool.
Yeah.
And so it just really clicked for me. And so I just see like this absolutely seems like a better way to do things. So you might as well go full in and start like surrounding yourself with the best people and the best information.
Most definitely. So here's my question to you, Brett. If someone's sitting there right now, they kind of they get the NFT thing. I mean, a lot of people might be one of the folks who spent the cumulative billions of dollars on in-game items over the last,
Mhm.
year or so. How do you start? Like how do you start evaluating so that you don't get stuck in this position where you buy something, it's a liquid and you're stuck?
Yeah, so that's the hard that's the million-dollar
Yeah.
question, quite literally. So right now we're seeing a lot of saturation into their space. Like
Hmm.
clearly there's been a lot of money made and a lot of people see that opportunity. So you get a lot of bad actors that
Hmm.
kind of just try to take advantage of buzzwords and whatnot. And so I've been advising people to really start to try to look for projects that they have a genuine interest in. And so that way, if it does go illiquid, obviously they're still left holding something that they at least have value out of.
Hmm.
But of course, people are here to really flip. Like it's a flipper's market. That's what we're all saying.
Hmm.
And so if you're trying to make money flipping NFTs, you just need to make sure you really have the context and understand like if you can see through a project that's really just trying to take advantage of you and use these words that look like other projects. Like we saw the cyberkongs, they did the DAO and the token, and then we saw 50 other projects immediately copy that. So you got to really try to identify which one is which like project are the innovators. And so for me, I always look at the founding team, and if the founding team is kind of like articulating their values, articulating their thoughts, their intentions with the project very clearly, that's typically a good sign. I'm the type of guy that likes to bet on people, and I think that if people have been successful in one place, they're typically going to be successful in another aspect of their life. So
Hmm.
that's what I look for. Now for those really quick flips, it's really easy, or it's really nice to use tools like icy tools, nansen.ai. You could even use rarity.tools and just try to see what the volume is doing and where all the money's going,
Hmm.
and then try to ride that wave up. So that's typically what I'll do if I just woke up today and want to see what's moving, try to hop in those waves, see if I can kind of catch a dip in that wave.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's so much different. It's so much different for someone that's really used to the fungible token space. Like in
Yeah.
DeFi, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I get DeFi. Like I get the swaps markets, I get lending space and all this stuff. And then they switch to NFTs and they're like, I'm getting wrecked. Like I can't figure this out. And so it's just a very different world. And I think we're starting to see that separation of different overarching niches in crypto.
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's kind of the beautiful thing. Like we even have like cross cultures through different chains. If you like, you look at the Solana NFT
Mm-hmm.
ecosystem, it's a completely different angle to what makes a project successful over there. And so we do see 98% of NFT traffic on OpenSea on Ethereum. So that's where I've kept my focus. I mean, if any project that is well established is typically on Ethereum and on OpenSea.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just kind of just sticking with the meta. And like we always say it in the space, like the space moves so fast. And if you miss a day, you are kind of out of the loop. And so there's not really as much technical analysis or market reading as you would expect. It's really just what is hot right now and what are other people getting excited about. It's literally like chasing a hype train. So it's very interesting, very time consuming, and probably not great for your mental health, but there's a lot of opportunity right now and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, so here's another question I have for you.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people right now that want to get into this space, and I see it a lot in like in YouTube comments or on Twitter. People ask, "Hey, I can't afford to be on the in the Ethereum space. I can't afford to spend this on a mint, you know, 0.07 ETH or however much gas it's going to cost." You know,
Mm-hmm.
what would you recommend for folks that are in that space? Are there other ecosystems like Solana that you think are hotbeds for this?
Yeah, so Solana is probably the most developed ecosystem with the lowest fees.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing with that is that inherently it kind of attracts scammier projects in a sense because the people that are making these projects know that people that are attracted to Solana are the ones that can't afford the high gas fees and the ones that are more likely to be taken
Right.
advantage of. So I really kind of advocate on my channel, if you don't have that much money to play with, you just need to be very, very selective on what project you're investing basically 100% of your portfolio in.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely opportunity. You can do Cardano, cnft.io. There's Tezos. Tezos has a really good up and coming like ecosystem. So if you were in that situation, I would advise you to, there's even Avalanche and Binance Smart Chain as well,
Mm-hmm.
but I would just advise you to learn as much as you can about a single ecosystem and just really try to pick that one winner. Like you want to bet on the Google, you want to bet on the Apples. So it's not going to be like something you rush into if you can only place one bet. I kind of view it as like a venture capitalist mindset for the NFTs I have, because I have a abyss of a pit of illiquid JPEGs, but those 3 or 4 that I got right have 100x my portfolio. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the approach we take. I still think that if you can't afford it, Ethereum still not out of the question. I think gas fees get priced in. It's just, it really hurts the psychological effect when you're spending more on gas than the price of the NFT itself.
Yeah, no, I've been there many times. You know, I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's not bad, and then I actually go to run the transaction through. I'm like, oh, yeah, it actually is kind of bad.
Oh, and it hurts.
Yeah,
It hurts every time. Don't you dare check how much you spend on gas your
yeah.
whole like this year.
Well, I was gonna say it's December, end of December. I'm starting to carve through all the tax
Yeah.
implications and looking at the cumulative gas fees for the year. Is one that I'd
At
not.
least you can write those off,
Yeah,
huh?
at least you can write them off if you keep track of them. That's one benefit. Um,
Make sure you keep
yeah,
track because
please keep track of
it
it.
can be a mess.
This is the part of being in a Wild West type of space, I suppose.
That's
Now,
a good way to put
yeah, I mean, and speaking of the Wild West, what new frontiers have you been tracking through?
it.
What's interesting to you these days? Of course, people knowing there's a lot of risk, so just be careful.
Of course, guys. Always not financial advice.
Yeah,
You got to do your own research. These might be appealing to me for different reasons that might not be so appealing to you. So
yes.
understand that. But right now, I think the coolest drop that we saw was the Adidas drop because I think they're really pushing forward. Like that's a big brand, like a
Mhm.
world known brand that's coming in and pushing mass adoption. But they dropped this NFT that's actually going to come with real physical like clothing. Like you're going to get the hoodie, you're going to get the pants that they show in their NFT. And so I think that's really cool. Now, do I think that them sucking $30 million out of the NFT ecosystem, then probably not going to reinvest? That's great for the space. No, but I think the idea of that is really cool because, I mean, think about it. Like, why do you buy a Lamborghini? To signal your status that you're
Mhm.
doing pretty well in life. It gets you from A to B, just like a Honda, but you have a Lamborghini so people know you're balling. So I think it'd be really cool if we start seeing like car titles being NFTs, and then you can physically display or digitally display that you own a physical Lamborghini, but in your digital wallet. So when you're interacting online playing a video game, people can click on your profile and be like, holy shit, this guy owns a Lamborghini in real life.
Yeah.
Way more people are going to see that. And so I think that's what Adidas is starting right now or
Mhm.
pushing forward. Of course, we saw Artifact get bought out by Nike for it's a rumor, but around $1 billion, which is absolutely absurd.
Wow.
So it seems like mainstream mass adoption is here, but when it comes to like actually flipping NFTs or being successful and making money in NFTs, I think the safest bet and what I advise the most new people is to really just try to find those really hot projects that are coming up in like 2 weeks or a month and try to get on their whitelist. Because if you can mint an NFT, if you don't know what minting an NFT is, it's just like buying one of the first ones and you get a random one. This basically means you're probably going to buy it at the lowest price possible. And if the project's good and has a lot of hype, it's pretty much guaranteed to go up. So there's 3 projects right now that have a lot of hype in the space. And so I think the biggest ones, I'm actually going to share my screen if that's okay, so you guys can actually see these. But yeah, so Twitter, absolutely critical. If you guys have never gotten to NFTs, I'm sure you're crypto people, you use crypto Twitter, but same goes for NFTs. This is where all the information moves the fastest. But WGMI interfaces is just a really, really exciting project right now. And it's really refreshing because we have a lot of these projects that have been, like I said earlier, copycatting the DAO, the token, Wolf game theory, just using these buzzwords. They just came in here and they literally say no roadmap or promises, just vibes, which is refreshing because that's kind of how my NFT journey started. And we just had fun and we were buying pictures of these animals and everyone was having a good time and helping each other. But this art is just top tier. You see it, it's the 3D art similar to Artifact, and people have been loving it. They immediately got a ton of feedback, a ton of support on Twitter. They're obviously at over 62,000 people or 62,000 followers. That's not usually enough, but you just see their engagement. Like these numbers are really good. 5,000 people liked these, 1,000 people retweeted it. So that's what you like to see. I think this one's going to absolutely pop off. And so if you get on their whitelist, you should easily make half an ETH to an ETH right off the bat, off of like maybe a 0.08 mint. The next project, kind of similar, is Invisible Friends. And again, these 2 projects just have art that's just levels and levels above. And deservedly, they're getting just as much the recognition that they deserve. So 98,000 followers on Twitter, that's a pretty massive amount, especially before launch. And so just look at the art, man. It's pretty sick.
It's sweet.
And so people are going crazy over it. Again, the engagement is through the roof, 34,000 likes. Almost every tweet has hundreds of likes. And so this is a project that a lot of people in the space are talking about it, a lot of my other YouTuber friends. And so these 2 actually had a partnership that kind of broke the internet for a little bit. But then the last one that's probably the most exciting, I think, out of all of these is going to be Hate Beast Gang. And they have 145,000 followers on Twitter. And I think their launch is in January 2022. So just about a month. And I think the biggest thing about them was their website, their reveal video just gets people really, really excited. It's really well made. It's like a high fashion, like it's called Hate Beast. So it's like a play on Hype Beast, but the art is just next level. Uh-oh, that's loud. My bad, bro.
There you go.
But this like trailer video, I highly recommend you all watch this. It got me fired up. I don't know about you, but clearly it's showing. This is very similar to kind of what we saw with MekaVerse, even though MekaVerse kind of dropped the ball after launch. RIP to anyone who was holding those bags. I'm praying for you, but Hate Beast seems to have a lot of going for it, and they're actually gonna have 3D models in a metaverse. So those are the 3 with the most hype. And so obviously these are gonna be hard to get. If you can get a whitelist spot, it's gonna take some work. You have to put some time in their Discords and engage with the community. But if you do, you'll easily make like $2,000 to $4,000 in like a day after that flip. So it will take some upfront work to get on the whitelist. Now, I know a lot of people don't have as much time on their hands and they kind of just want to make this a little more passive. So there are 2 other projects that are coming up that I think are maybe not under the radar, but they're still in the early phases. So there's a lot of whitelist spots up for grab that you could probably get a little more easily. So this is a project that I literally saw last night. I haven't even covered it on the YouTube channel yet. If you're into anime and Naruto, they're making an authentic Naruto NFT collection in collaboration with one of the people who worked on the actual show. And so they only have 7,000 followers right now. So you could actually get in extremely early. And if you join their Discord, grind a whitelist, I think this is like a hidden gem right now that a lot of people are sleeping on or just don't know about yet. So that's an exclusive for Hashoshi. I wanted to come with some fire. I think that's the one if I had a bet on it. And they're coming out on the 7th of January. So you have time, but it's also close enough to get excited for. And then lastly, we have Pixelmon. Pixelmon is just, it's a play on the infamous Minecraft mod Pixelmon. And the art is just like it. And so people love this game. People love Pokemon. And so they're making an NFT collection and they actually do have the ambition to make a full-on metaverse. I know it's a buzzword, but that's what they're calling it, a metaverse of Pixelmon on their own engine. So if you could actually get these NFTs, you'd be able to play Pixelmon and actually own the Pokemon that you catch and collect. So
sweet.
If you're a big Pokemon guy, you know how cool of an idea that is. I'm super stoked for this. This one is extremely hard to get in. They have a private Discord and you have to like play little games, but I think that's just all fun and really keeps driving the hype and the FOMO. So this is a really fun one to follow. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now, my man. What do you think? You gonna get into any of these?
Honestly, I think you knew ahead of time that I'm like I'm a Naruto fan or something. But
Oh, no
I'm
way.
gonna have to figure that out.
No, that was random.
Hey,
That was the universe.
nice. I was gonna say there's nowhere that that's public unless you like called my wife or something. But I mean, the thing is that at the end of the day, it all boils down to like what speaks to you artistically in the first place. That's the way I look at it. Like I have plenty of NFTs. I think you mentioned this earlier that aren't really worth anything at the end of the day. So like it's sunk cost for me, but I still go into my OpenSea and I look at them and I'm like, you know what? These are cool. Like I would print these out. I'd put these on my wall. I'm a proud owner, right?
They're yours.
Yeah.
That's the best part. It's art you enjoy. You buy it. You're supported an artist. You can feel good at the end of the day. We hear all this talk about utility and what's the project doing behind the scenes. The ultimate utility is the art and using it as a profile picture at the end of the day.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. So here you mentioned this earlier and we were talking about this and I was actually going to bring this up anyway, so it's funny that you brought it up. MekaVerse, right? A great example of it's that instant, like as soon as I saw their art, I was like, I love this. Like this speaks to me. Of course, that equated to an extremely popular and competitive minting process and really insane price appreciation within a short period of time, and then a subsequent like implosion afterwards. To you, what caused that act, like that whole thing, and how can people avoid something like that for these if they look at them like, wow, these are popular, I love this, but I don't want to get hurt on this?
Yeah, so there's been many projects relatively similar, but Meka is the biggest example.
Yeah.
When they dropped their video, it was similar to Hate Beast, where it's just like showing this 3D art that was just levels above quality that we had ever seen in the space. Like we were used to buying Pudgy Penguins, Doge Pound, like these early projects, and they came in with unbelievably detailed like 3D robot renders. And so they ended up maxing out their Discord over 250,000 people. They had an absurd mint price of like 0.2, and they had to do a raffle to everybody to make it completely fair and avoid a gas war. And so they executed pretty well on the mint. I'll give them that. But what happened is what we typically see in NFTs is when you mint them, there's typically like a few days in between before they get revealed and you see which one that you get. And so people were trading them and trading them and trading them. And that's when the price just got ridiculous. Like I think it was like 5 to 8 ETH at one point.
Yeah.
Like absurd amount of money, like 30, 40 grand for our speculative NFT. And so what happened was on reveal, they were only known for their art. They weren't known for their technical skill. They weren't doing any utility. And when that art, I mean, they were set up to fail at that point, like 8 ETH floor, like that's a high expectation. Yeah. But when the art was revealed, it seemed that a lot of them were just very similar. They all had a great background. It just didn't live up to the hype initially. It just didn't live up to the hype. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
And basically people were disappointed and they just started dumping the floor. And of course the team didn't have any grand roadmap or anything planned to save it. And so once the hype left, it just deflated slowly, and now it's sitting under 1 ETH, which is just absolutely mind-blowing to think about how they went from literally the most respected hyped up project to like a graveyard. It's sad to see, but you just got to be cautious out there and make sure you understand what you're getting into and what your intentions are when buying one of these.
Yeah, well, that's how fickle it is. And if you look at big companies, going back to the Adidas and Nike and other examples of big companies playing the NFT space, you only really have one chance to do it right, because when you torpedo your reputation in this space, people don't forget. People don't forget.
It is crucial. It is so important. Like your reputation is literally everything. And that's why it's so interesting, because like NFT crypto, like we don't do paid promo because like our reputation matters so much. Your integrity, if your word doesn't mean anything, your influence is nothing. And so it's so critical that people really take the time to understand NFT culture. Like, why is everyone anonymous? Well, I mean, the founder of Bitcoin, it's a decentralized community. He was anonymous. No one knew who made it. So it's like ingrained in our culture to be anonymous and use pseudonyms and use profile pictures. So that can translate. A lot of people don't get it. Like, oh, you're working with people that are hiding behind an avatar. You have no idea who they are. But their online reputation still matters. You don't need to know the person's name or what they look like. They still want to be good business people and be known for their positive work. And so you have to cherish that. And anyone who just has like the slightest nick on the reputation, that's almost impossible to get over for most people.
Yeah, it's really tough. And it's especially that way in the NFT space because there's so much
Hmm.
money that changes hands for even small collections that if you can't be trusted to put something out there that you're going to support long term that has at least some semblance of utility or true value outside of just the artistic, understanding that someone has of it, it's
Exactly.
tough.
We're so early, and it's really such a small community. Like there's only 285,000 wallets trading on OpenSea. So you
Mm-hmm.
do something, it's not too hard for that to be around the block and everyone to like kind of just think of you for that action. So you need to be very careful and you make sure you're treating people right and that you have come into the space with good intentions.
Yeah, and I would say like help each other, right? If someone new comes in, one surefire way to make sure that you've got another happy, contributor to the NFT space in a positive way is somebody who comes in and gets help from somebody else, and for you to
That is
provide that.
that is exactly what drew me to the space and why I got so like in deep. I remember joining the Doge Pound early on, and every single person was so supportive, offering a lending hand without asking anything in return, and would just teach me. And
Mm-hmm.
that I am forever grateful. That's really made me who I am today. So that's like a core principle of our culture. And as mainstream adoption comes in, we need to make sure that those values are imprinted and translated to everybody, and that they know very clearly like this is what we're about. I know that's how you act in the other world, but not over here. Like we just need to set that line very clearly.
Right on. Love that message. So that being said, if somebody wants to get a little bit of Brett Malinowski help, where
Mhm.
can they find you? Where are your
Nice.
main channels? All that sort of thing.
Nice pronunciation. But yeah, my guys, I have a YouTube channel. My name is Brett Malinowski, otherwise known as at the Brett Way on Twitter, other social medias as well. I have a YouTube channel where I talk all about NFTs, really talk about building in the space or what NFTs to flip and make money. I mean, we got a little of both over there. Twitter is where I'm sharing my information most quickly, most actively. So follow me over there. But yeah, those are the main two. If you want to learn, kind of get some more insight on the space, that's the place.
Right on. Well, I will, as YouTubers do, I will leave all that stuff in the description as well in the pinned comment, all the tools that we have at our disposal to share stuff. And most of all, I want to thank you, Brett, for joining me on the show, man.
Dude, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for having it. It's crazy that we could actually make this happen. I know we've been talking about it for a while, but I think it's your turn to come on the channel next. So if we can make that happen down the line, all
I'll
right?
take you up on that offer, man. Anytime, anytime.
Uh, All right, brother. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you as well. And thanks so much for everyone who's watching. If you have questions, you have thoughts about NFTs or anything that we talked about today, leave them in the comments. Love to hear from you. Thank you and have a great weekend. Cheers.